Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Transformation Tuesday. Today I am talking about fecal microbial transplant, or FMT, constipation, anxiety and fatigue. So I'll just give you a bit of an indication what fecal microbial transplant is. So a fecal microbial transplant is where they essentially take poo from a healthy donor that is screened, and they transplant that to you. They can do this through capsules, which incidentally are called crapsules, or where they put it directly into your colon. So it has been officially approved for Clostridium difficile. So Clostridium is a bacterium that gives people diarrhea, and it can be a life-threatening condition. So it really works well with that. So the FMT transplant has a 91% cure rate for C. diff. They're just starting to use it now for other conditions. So it's a very good thing, I think, for people to be trying if they can't get a resolution from anything else. I'm Anne Sinclair, and I'm the digestive detective. So today we're going to talk about Kelly. So Kelly picked up a parasite, and this had been making her feel incredibly ill. So she went and had a fecal microbial transplant. So in her case, they gave her a large amount of antibiotics to essentially nuke all the gut bacteria, and then they add new bacteria over the course of a few days. Kelly was feeling better when she had it done, but she still wasn't feeling great. So her energy levels were a 2 out of 10, good morning, and her anxiety was typically through the roof. So anxiety is a common symptom of gut issues. I see it over and over in clinic. So Kelly was she was sleeping all night, but waking not feeling at all refreshed. She's bloated all the time, and she's reacting to all the foods. So she cannot retest for the parasite. She had to wait for a certain period of time after the fecal microbial transplant. So after any intervention for parasites, it's a really good thing to wait 6 to 8 weeks, because whatever you use will knock the numbers down. You want to make sure that it's gone forever, so you need to wait for a period of time. So she was having a bowel movement once a day, but was feeling really constipated. So she was taking quite a few supplements that she had self-prescribed, and all of them weren't good. And I think that's one thing to think about when you do take supplements. She was taking supplements that damage her gut bacteria. So it's important to remember that supplements can sometimes be like antibiotics, especially when you're using the antimicrobial ones. So she is not the only person that I've ever seen do this. I see it over and over again. And I do get a little bit disappointed with the fecal microbial transplant places, to be honest. They do this transplant that's really an ordeal, and it's pretty costly. So just to give you an idea, a fecal microbial transplant costs around $10,000. Then they send you home with no guidance on what to eat or how to take care of your newly acquired gut bacteria. I think that's problematic. So taking antimicrobials are not good for the gut bacteria, especially when you're trying to colonize them. I would say that antimicrobials should be used sparingly at the best of times. So with Kelly, her food reactions were hives, itchiness, and she was constipated, essentially. So I see this in some people when their gut is not in a really good space. They can react to everything. Every bit of food they put in their mouth, they react to. So Kelly had worked with other practitioners, and they reduced her diet significantly. So I think short term, this is a doable strategy, but over a long term, it can be really problematic. In my experience, the smaller amount of foods we eat, the less we are able to tolerate other foods. And I have seen people literally only eating 5 foods. That's their entire diet. So that's not a good place to be. Because when they're in that space, it can also drive their anxiety, because then they not only get anxious about how they're feeling, but they also get anxious about what they're actually eating. So Kelly was at this point now. She was only eating her safe foods. So I sent her away with a food, mood and poo diary. And meanwhile, we started to talk about adding lentils first. So for all of the lentils, we soaked them, and we... some of them we sprouted, but I got it to sprout, and they were to be included. So she was just to start with a little bit. So we started with a teaspoon, and then we went up to a tablespoon, and we just kept adding on through there. So when it came to supplementation. We stopped everything else pretty much, and we just started on a mag citrate for a constipation. And so we just did the mag citrate, and we also did a probiotic to help restore the internal environment. So essentially, probiotics don't colonize new bacteria, but they do help change the internal environment to make it favorable for good bacteria to want to live there. And the other thing we did was to get her to eat more prebiotics foods. That's what our aim. Ones that wouldn't flare up her hives and stuff. Now, Kelli was very, very fatigued. So, however, when you are low energy, you should continue to try and exercise, even just in small amounts. So, research shows us that if we have fatigue, we should exercise. They don't know why, but they know that it can give us a 20% increase in our energy levels over time. So to start with, I just had Kelli just walk to her mailbox a few times a day because that's all she could manage. When we got her food diary back, I could see that she wasn't eating enough food. So if you have really small meals during the day, you're likely not to have regular bowel movements. She ate a lot of the same colours and a lot of the same foods over and over. So that was our first real big change for her. When she came back for a second visit, she was feeling a lot better, less pain, but more gas. And so this will happen because her gut bacteria was used to, was getting used to all these new and delicious foods that they were now getting that they hadn't had before. So we managed these symptoms the best we could with charcoal, exercises, and carminative teas. Now, carminative teas are things like fennel, peppermint, cardamom, and ginger. They help reduce colon spasms and they help the body get rid of gas. So that was a really easy thing for her to do. In the second visit, her energy levels had gone from a 2 out of 10 to a 5 out of 10. So better, but still not fantastic. She was doing meditation and yoga, and not power yoga or hatha yoga. I got her just to do yin yoga. So yin yoga is a really slow relaxation sort of yoga, and this had helped improve her anxiety and her energy levels. And she said she was feeling much more rested and in her body, whereas before she felt out of her body. So she'd started to include all the colors of the rainbow in her food and in her diet that she was now eating. And this was probably one of the reasons she was noticing more gas. So her hives had really started to ease, and she wasn't getting them much at all now. Her anxiety had really decreased to where it had been. At one stage, she couldn't go out in public. She was so anxious. So you can see how debilitating that is for a person. So she was now going out with her friends. Essentially, the constipation was still playing a really big role in her life. So we added my favorite prebiotic fiber combo. So it's a partially hydrolyzed guar gum and acacia fiber. And these both help stimulate peristalsis. So peristalsis is the wave-like motion that moves waste through your bowel. So this is one of my favorite things. It's actually really good for constipation and diarrhea. And I just love it for people because I see such good results. And so after about 8 months, Kelli was in a much better space health-wise. She felt her diet was almost back to normal. Her anxiety was under control, and her energy level was about 8 out of 10 most days. She'd retested for the parasite, and it was gone. She told me she's surprised that it hadn't taken her longer to recover. But she thought... She told me that she was surprised that it had taken her so long to recover, because she thought that the FMT would be a thing she would do, and she would go, "Hello, Sammy," and that she would go straight back to normal. And I think this is, I think we have to remember this with our gut bacteria. Even though gut bacteria can change really quickly, so in as little as 3 days. So you can, if you have a junk food diet and you eat a healthy diet, your gut bacteria can go from bad to good in 3 days. But it will take that sustained action of eating great food to completely heal the gut. So it's like going to the gym one time and being disappointed that you didn't get the six-pack. I know I've done that. We have to put it into focus. You have to put in a focused work for a period of time to get these results. It's like putting in the reps to do, if you want ab muscles, you've got to put in the reps to get them. So this feeding your gut bacteria and stuff is exactly the same way. So I was pretty pleased with how Kelli went overall. So it was good to see her get back to living her normal life. So questions. Do you want to know what naturopathy, if naturopathy will work for you? Book in for a free consult. I'll add the link here to the page. So if you want to move forward with your gut health, get in touch. I'm here to help. Ask as many questions as you need to, and have a fantastic day, everybody. I'll see you soon.